Yes. This is a dirty paper towel. Hold on. New paper towel. And now my cookies are actually just in a container. Dorito dust equals weather material. That's right, Iron Bar. So, I think I'm trying to remember what we did on the metal. I'll put some coal black down. Coal black. Let's get some bold titanium white. Brown. Transparent brown. I think I was using a little brown. Some water. So I'm pretty sure that I basically made like a black brown. Made it kind of a brown gray. Pretty sure that is a part of my operation, a flow improver. And then I'm pretty sure it's just brighter versions of that. Pretty sure that's what I was doing on the little metal bits, so we'll find out if it works. Zugs Wang, thank you for the bits. Welcome to the show. All right, Helldiver, you paying attention? It's my guy right there. Oh, got black paint on my fucking hand. Okay. Let's rotate over here. Let's just start off with some of this blacker, browner. Let's run in right here, just using the tip of our brush. Okay, we're going to go into the heart pull position so I can just do kind of a safe line, but I'm also going to just stipple using the sewing machine stroke, and this is kind of wet, kind of loose. Sewing machine, and we're just going to kind of divide these little connectors. Okay, let's get a little bit of our brighter gray. We're going to use more moisture. Take some moisture off. And so this is kind of like just a wet glaze right here. Making little 3D printing lines. Okay. Let's get a little bit more on the white side here. Let's just be a little bit more opaque, a little bit more dry using extreme tip. Put a little line right above the black. Oh, look at that. Now what we got to do is kind of draw like a fake frame around it. Again, high opacity, lower moisture. And we're going to use the side of our brush and run the tracer technique right along that rail. Flip the dude upside down. Let's look for that horizon Scrape along that seam. Okay, now let's clean up some lines right there. Kyrie. Kyrie. What's up, man? Zugs Wang. Anytime my boy says thanks for checking up on me so many times when my Patreon went blackout. Thank you for giving me dollar bills, dog. You're the real hero in this story. Can I get some strong man love in the chat for Zugs Wang? Z-Wang. Kyrie says, love the walking us through it as you do it. Love the stream so far. Thanks, man. I wouldn't even know what the point of painting it live without walking you through it would be. Let's take a little bit more black. Okay, we're gonna be more semi-opaque. You know, mitigate the moistures for control's sake, but don't worry too much about it. I'm gonna use it to erase, and because of the strange angle here, using extreme tip and just really taking small strokes using the heart pull, where we pull straight back to our heart for control. Just try to clean it up so we have a nice clean crispy line right there. See, we go a little wider on this side, which helps it look a little bit more reflective. You see that? A little bit flatter on this side. So let's just pick up a little bit of straight bold titanium white. Want to make sure it's not too wet. Let's run that tracer. Hold your breath. Swing it from right to left. Right there. Let's use the tip of our brush again and reinforce. Right there. Right there. Flip it. Always rotate the angle. Look for that horizon. Scrape that seam. Wow, son. Marcus Day. What's up, brother? Thank you for the follow. Rockstar Panda in the chat. Panda crew on deck. Whoop. Always amazing, he says. Thank you. Stop it, Jones, just to see your beautiful smile, my dude. Yo, is that my boy Cios in chat? He says, yo, that NMM on the exhaust looks tight as fuck. What is NMM? I don't know what that means. Bleeze, that's my boy, Bleeze 420. Well, hell, doing black and I'm done missing it. And you're done missing it? Rockstar Panda says non-metallic. See us? Non-metallic. Metal. Do you mean how I just painted it to look cool? Is that what that is? Give to the fire. Wait. It's not just to look cool? Right? That's all I ever do. I gotta research this non-metallic situation, see what that's all about. Blaze 420 says you're gonna have these up somewhere for me to steal that sweet paint job, Blaze. Yeah, they'll be on Patreon. I edit them down, throw them up on the Patreon. So this non-metal technique, it's basically what we're doing is we're just making it look shiny. That's all it is, reflective, right? Doesn't matter what you apply to. You can apply the fundamentals to the metallic surface. Here on these straight struts, what we're doing is just a simple horizon line as they're tucked in there. Let's get a little bit more white. And here, the thing about going reflective is the closer to white you're willing to go, and the closer to black you're willing to go, the kind of the shinier you're saying it is, the more reflective you're saying it is. Okay, now we've got this little contraption up here, and I'm going to take some of that warm brown mess I made. So here, what we're going to do is like a classic tri-blend, it looks like. It's just simple, though. Okay, so we're going to use a little bit more of the darker mix. Right here, kind of just real quick, kind of squish it in the center. So that's a little bit more black-brown. We're using like a warm metal here. And we're keeping it kind of wet. And as it moves out, we're just going to kind of wet glaze it. And just using the tip of my brush, kind of just sending it in there. I'll pick up a little bit more moisture on my way back. And just stipple in with the sewing machine. And force the capillary blend. Right there. Okay. Again, just take a little bit of the highlight, that brighter warm gray we made. Send it in. Pick up some moisture. Pick up some of that slop. Let's see if we get a little capillary blur right here. So it's bright on the outside, it's dark on the inside. That's simple, okay? Now all we need to do to make it kind of like just sell you on it being reflective is just to make sure that the darks are really dark and the brights are really bright. So we're gonna just take some straight up black, tip of the brush, heart pull strategy, and we're gonna rebuild the shadow or the frame. Let's make sure to get underneath these little latches using some stipples on top. So now you can kind of see things again, right? Rinse the brush, get off that black. Let's run it back to white. And so all we're gonna do now is just kind of carve in frames. You see how we did it on that side? So let's just run in, see if we can get a quick little tracer. Kind of just skirt the rail. Rotate, always look for the correct angle. High opacity, low moisture. Now, we should be able to also kind of trace this rail right here. If it doesn't transfer, just stop, reload the brush. See if I can just stick the tip right in there. Let's get the kind of the tops of these things. You don't got to do much on the small stuff. Just let that ride. I won't even put another second into it. El Blanco Magnifico. What's up? Blaze, so it seems I will be Patroning that ass. Yeah, let it fly. Patroning that ass. So here, we're going to make this box metal. Looks like I did the same thing at Tri-Blend. Oh yeah, and I was just being lazy too. And the thing is, when you're doing this type of effect, you really don't need to be as meticulous as you think you do. So here I'm just using some of the dark, using the heart pull. I'm just snagging some of the highlight while it's still wet, and using the heart pull, just walking out, you see? Going back to the dark. Now let's pick up more white. Rotate. Actually, let's get that tracer. Hold your breath, swing it from right to left. So, good reflective surface habits has having nice crisp lines around everything like that. See, and it just rides, you know? Rinse it, rinse it, rinse it. Now, I feel like, okay, we got to do this little joint right here. So, on that little circle like that, you can kind of just do whatever you want. It looks like I just did a horizon line. So, like, let's just put some black down. Let's grab some of that brown gray. Yeah. Looks like I got a little bit wider than that, I think. Yeah. So, let's pluck a little bit of the straight white down. Maybe we can use a little moisture to kind of disperse that with some sewing machine stroke. Maybe split the difference, look for kind of the mid-tone with your eyes and just kind of stipple that in. Okay, rinse it. Pick up some black. Let's just like make sure there's a nice hard stopping point to that line, you see? Now, it looks like I did the interior with some gold. So I think what I was doing was just painting them white for now, and then we'll use some transparent technique later. So we'll just put the white down there. Let's make sure to punch up a little harsh line up here. Okay. Let's catch rim. So what we're gonna do there is just kind of keep it simple. Let's grab the highlight. Using the heart pull right there. Now let's grab let's grab some darker right off the palette, kind of wet. Let's grab some black even. Before we go too far, let's kind of split the diff and let's just do a little bit of stippling right here with the moisture that we have. Like that. Now as we move down low, let's go back to bright. So bright, dark, then back to bright here. Let's pick up a little moisture. Pick up a little black. Right there. And I'm using the moisture to get that capillary kind of wet blend feeling, but it's really wet glazing. Pick up more white. Let's see if we can just kind of reinforce right here. Kind of catch that seam. It'd be actually kind of tight if you can just kind of get inside these little holes a little bit. Like so. Just kind of using the tip to get in there and right in that rail. And like you see, it's even kind of choppy, but it rides. It's like selling somebody on it being metal is kind of easy. As long as you follow a couple rules. Bleeze says, oh yeah, I haven't asked in a minute, but where's that black Templar's t-shirt? Oh man, you fucking guy. This guy. Alright. Let's fuck with these bolters real quick. Let me grab a little black. Smooth that out. So on the bolters, let's start by just running a quick line right here. And I'm using that bright warm gray that I made. Okay. Kind of doing the whole top. And we're going to keep a horizon line intact. All right, just kind of boxing it out. Okay, step one. There's these two little rails up here too. Let's catch those little guys. Okay. Now the sights are not going to need much. Just a quick kind of frame on them. Just hit that tracer technique, ride that rail. Fuck it up, don't worry about it. You can always clean it up easy. Okay. Now, let's see if we can kind of subdue that a little bit. So I'm going to run back a little bit darker in the mix. Make it a little bit more transparent and just kind of wash it right over the top. I don't necessarily want it to be that bright, that fast. So just giving it a quick glaze. Just knocking it down a little bit. Because I'd like there to be like a higher point, kind of like right in the center right here maybe. Where it is brighter. Like that. And we're using lower opacity for that just to kind of get a bit of a blend going. And what I'll do is I'll take the black and I'll make that hard line. Anytime we do a cylinder shape, we always throw in this harder line right here. And what I'll do is kind of just blend into it. I'll let the line be sharp. Up on these little guys. we gotta paint the bolter casing. The red on that is shit. It looks. I just kind of crammed it in. Okay, now so there should be more of a blend though, in my opinion. So let's get more of a gray going here. And let's see if we can kind of gray up everything below that black line a little bit. And we still got to frame it out. So let's pick up a little bit more white. Let's see if we can carefully create a tracer effect right around that seam. Ride that rail, but be careful because since it's a circle, you got to have to rotate it a lot or you're going to fuck it up. Just ride the rail, light brush pressure, high opacity, low moisture. See, when I get nice skinny lines. There we go. Flying Monkey paints. 36 months in a row. 3 fucking years. This guy. Also my man Torjin. 22 months. Torjin and Flying Monkey paints. What's up, guys? Just like the front, we got to do the back. So we're going to ride this rail right here. Catch that frame. Sneak in right here. Now I'm going to draw a crispy line on the bright side of the line. Right there. Using the heart pull strategy. If you're fighting it, just reload the brush. When you're loading the tip like this, it tends to dry really fast. Now we also want to get inside this hole right here, if possible. So we're just using the tip of the brush and just kind of riding the rail, kind of combining both the heart pull and the tracer. Fly Monkey Paints. Will I be running a whip tonight? Yeah, dude. Let's take some of that white. Let's remember that center line up top. I want to just kind of reinforce it here. Gotta make sure to catch these little guys too. Using some tracer. Now these are kind of tricky. You want to slide in right there. Now, we want to also get inside the barrel that we drilled. Let's rinse it, rinse it, rinse it. Let's pick up a little black, semi-opaque, and a little wet. And let's make sure that we are able to kind of erase any stray lines we fucked up on. Like on these sites right here, I probably got some really fat lines in here, so we're gonna kind of just glaze those lines to be a little bit less terrible. Bro-nado! Loving the progress. Thank you, man. Now, there is something that I keep forgetting about, but there's this like rail back here. So we're just gonna do a quick kind of a seam highlight, like just like how the light would hit it. I'm using like a low opacity mix of the brighter gray. Grab some black. Make it a little bit grayer than that. Hold on a second. There we go. Nice little seam. Evermore, thanks for the follow. Cranky old nerd. That's a year of subs. Thank you, brother. Cranky old nerd. I'm going to take white, and I'm just going to carefully try to chisel this line in with a heart pull. Pulling straight back to our heart. Now let's catch this rail. This rail right there. Just barely touching it. Cling, 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 cling. Let's take a little black and put some in here to create some definition. And let's run this black line right up against our highlight we made. And that's some low opacity heart pull. Semi-opaque, just a little wet. Just added a little bit of that like under shine that exists in the cylinders. Let's run over here. Let's see if we can nail it again. Made it grayer. Let's grab white. Right there. Let's rinse it. Pick up some black. Pick up a little bit more black. Kind of the same situation as we did on the other side. Just put that kind of shadow right under it. That easy, just a couple of brush strokes later, and you can move on with your life. Now, kind of have to recreate some of that here on this viewing angle. So we're just kind of using a wet mix of those same grays. Using some feathering, some stippling. And the problem is that now we have something that has multiple viewing angles. So effects start to break down when you can view them out of their two-dimensional existence, you know, because we are skinning a three-dimensional surface in a two-dimensional effect when we do something like non-metal metallic. So I'm just kind of doing my best right now to make it work. Think that'll ride. So let's reinforce the black line under the horizon line. Right there. That'll ride. Moving on with my life. Okay. So we got some reds that we gotta lock in, and we got looks like a gold nugget that we gotta paint. Where my transparent yellow at? Well, yellow. Paint this right over this white. Maybe take some of that transparent brown. Let that ride for now. Now, these bolters barrels are getting lost in my white chevrons. Maybe they're just getting lost in my background, in my destroyed painting desk. May have taken them a little too white, but I plan on, doing something else to the barrel, so that's fine. But since I have black right here, let me take this opportunity to erase some of that chevron spilling over onto the wrong plane. Got to do the tires. Do the red over here. Okay, so let's pull some red out. What was I using? Bolt Power Red? Probably. Sounds right. Sounds like me. Was I using burnt red too? More pigment? Do you know? Oh my god, come on. Do I have to shampoo bottle this? We'll see. Got a little burnt red out here. Alright, let's catch these little guys. Little burnt red real quick. Actually, I think I did them gray because of last time. Yeah, I think I painted them gray first. I doubt I have to do that though. Here's burnt red. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to paint the metal. So I painted them like they were going to be metal, and then I said they're red. So we're just using semi-opaque, just a little wet. A little moisture for that spread. But when you get inside a channel like this, be careful with that spread. Find the safe approach. I like this little splash of red on the side. Now the bolter up top, like I said, I sloppily painted this thing. So let's just make sure that we can take some, maybe some thinned down burnt red, and maybe kind of just fix the sloppy edge highlighting we did, but just kind of smoothing it out with a filter, kind of right in the center, right up against those thick lines we painted. It's okay for the top. Okay, let's grab Bold Power Red. Maybe a little flow improver. Sit right here. Let's just catch these edges. And what we're trying to do is just carefully bring nice contrast to this by framing the element so it doesn't get lost. So there's no real rhyme or reason. There's no actual like thought process in highlighting here. This is literally just hit the edges so that it doesn't get lost. There we go. See if we can catch it from this angle right here. But you also want to do some kind of artificial lines that creep in. Want to get a little brighter than that. So catch more bow power red. And reinforce anywhere you think it can go a little harder. Using high opacity, low moisture. Let's rotate this way. Let's see right here, we can do a little bit more. Now, what we did before was we took some yellow, some white, and some red, made kind of like a tangerine dream. Use some of this, kind of pop some of this out more. It's a little bit tighter. Frozen Hobbit, what's up, brother? Let's do a little bit of that tangerine dream. Right there. That bolter. Tight, tight, tight. Make sure we catch the inside track too. Rinse my brush, rinse my brush. Let's make sure that this panel is a little tighter because I can still see on the sides here where I didn't quite get deep enough into it to wipe out our chevron pattern as it was initially painted on that section. All right. We're going to do a whip session in 1 second, guys. Exclamation point whip if you're new here. Let me just quickly kind of rough in little metal right here. So I'm just going highlight, kind of keeping it wet, working in a little dark now. So keeping it brighter right here. Bit of a seam right there. Let's make sure, let's drag a quick line right here. Now that's a little thick, which I expected. As we move in from here, let's grab some black. Blaze, what up, man? He says, so let me get this straight. Campaign books failed, so GW is going to rebrand them as seasons. Are they? I have no idea what GW's up to right now. So there's our little highlight. Here's our little dark horizon cut a shadow that we've been doing on all these little kind of like square rectangle joints. So I'm just kind of following the flow. I'm gonna slice here. Let's get some higher opacity white on my brush. So what we want is to keep this frame boxed out. I'm gonna just trace it. Might have to do a heart pull right here. And I'm just going to walk that back. Take a little bit more moisture. Just kind of riding it out. Which is all we got to do is really just kind of frame this out now. Using high opacity, low moisture. That Bonet's cooking. Smells real good. Let's reinforce this line right here. This one right here. Take some black. Shove it inside these recesses. Just kind of a nice, quick, kind of just block in so I can kind of start seeing where I'm going on these little spots. Nothing too crazy to write home about. You can start kind of dialing in by just lowering the opacity and just kind of stippling in and just kind of start breaking it down section by section. And we never really leave this spectrum. It's always the same. It's just this. Up and down, up and down. So that's good. I'm feeling good about that for now. We'll put a pin in it. Jump into the whip. Take a look at what you guys are working on right now as we push through on this Black Templar project. Still an hour and 35 minutes left in our scheduled broadcast. Let's see what's going on here. Making sure there's No missing messages. Tight, tight. Shout out to my boy, Hell Diver, and now my man Recoil says the paint must flow. Recoil, thank you so much, brother. Just under an hour left. Moving the obesity cradle. Here's our duder. Let's run back to that sword. Just make sure we've got it locked in. Now that's had a second to dry. So I'm going to kind of mix up a middle gray. I'm going to use this semi-opaque. Kind of just smooth out some of these lines I made. Using the heart pull. Let's run a quick line right here. See, this stuff, I'm just leaving it kind of just dark gray. Hitting it with some crisp lines. JBZ saw my streaming Friday. Yep. Let's pick up a little bit more gray. A little darker. And this is our warm gray. It's got brown mixed into it. Oh, forgot that his arm wasn't glued on. Let's get a little bit more white. There we go. Let's get this little doodad right here. Let's get a little highlight and just kind of carefully just hit that seam right there. All right. We just make sure that my blacks are looking good inside these recesses. Okay, now this leather pouch, we just like raw dogged it that one time. So let's just take, I have no idea what we use, but I'll take some of this brown, some of this yellow, some of this white. I'll even take some of this brown gray we made. And I'll just see what it looks like. Just to run a quick seam. More white than that. Running that tracer technique. Riding that rail. Always rotate to facilitate that. Hold your breath, swing it from right to left. It's got a little pouch right here. Using the heart pull right there. Just bring a little contrast to it. So I think we can do more interesting stuff there. So let's take this mix. I'm going to run some heart pulls straight down it like that. Rotate. Like that. Somebody must be here. I hear them outside now. So I just did like some cross hatching and all sorts of weird stuff on it. Now I'm going to take some black. Take that same brown with some black in it. So now let's kind of just jump around and run in some top shadows. Using the heart pull. And deploying some texture. Creating the illusion that these are woven or gouged or whatever you want it to be. Whatever your mind decides it is. Shout out to Clee. Thank you for the follow. Now down here what I'm going to do is some stippling. Sewing machine. Gonna take some of our highlight and I'm going to stipple below those dots we stippled in earlier. I'm gonna get loaded up a little bit more on the tip. Sometimes when you're loading the tip up, it likes to dry real quick. So now I was, maybe a little bit more random when I was doing the shadow, but I'm now using that pattern I laid down and meticulously under highlighting the stipples. So now there's like gouges and slashes, And let's just do a couple right here. Oh, that was way too shitty right there. That one kind of lost that. It's okay. Let's take the black. So now we got some wily ass texture. I always like doing something fun like that if I can get away with it. And now, at any point, you can like kind of filter it down, okay? So you can take some of the brown. Lower the opacity substantially with some water. Now we'll take some of that moisture off. So we have just low opacity paint. And you can just run a screen right over the top of it. Like that. Let it dry. And that's just sent it slightly to the background. Okay? So if that, let's say that's like 3% opaque brown. Let it dry. Stack it. And you'll be able to kind of get those textures to kind of be right where you want them to be. So you're coming in for round 2. Let it dry for a second. Then you just stop where you want to. So instead of those textures being like on top and in your face, we're setting them behind everything. And there should be enough on my brush still to go in again. See? Super easy. We'll take some of this gray. That gun. While it's still wet, let's just jam a little white into it right here. Grab some black. Right there. Boom. Quick little grayish transition. Too easy. Professional competence in chat. What's up, brother? FarRun98, thanks for the follow. Now, let's jump on this little dash situation up here, okay? So we got Handlebars we got to mess with. So let's just kind of get some version of our brown up here. Some black, brown, yellow, white. And that's actually just transparent brown on there. So there's not really a lot of body to that. So that's why it's got kind of mixed in with everything else. Now, there's doodads on this thing. So this will be fun. Oh yeah. Get gone, arm. So we're just putting some version of our brown gray down. While it's still kind of wet. Let's just kind of stipple in some highlight right here. Using a lot of stippling technique now. Just a sewing machine action, using plenty of moisture to force the blend. So now I got just like a subtle transition right there in those little parts, those little doodads. Now up here, just kind of wet glazing this in right now. And that's our brown gray. While it's wet, let's just kind of drag in a little highlight right here. Let's use a little stippling. Nothing too fancy, just get something going on, okay? Gonna stop avoiding that view screen. Press that down. Let's run into the bigger brush. Grab some black, semi-opaque, a little wet. Using the heart pull, let's just run a quick black border right there. Right there. Did not mean to put it there. Just kind of stipple it away, make it a bit of a shadow. Just trying to build some contrast. Shout out to Clee. Says, hey, 20 years ago, I had my last Warhammer Mini in my hands on 12/22 this year. I go to my local games shop and buy a starter pack with an entire Warhammer 40k Space Marine Combat Patrol set and painted 6 of them so far. Ooh, grats, brother. Do you have any tips on must-have? You talk about like painting supplies or models? Welcome, brother. So I'm taking that black. And again, I'm just going to ram it in this little seam right here, like I was saying. See that? It's like semi-opaque. It's not like even remotely opaque. So we're just getting some subtle shifts. But the magic's just going to come from the edge highlighting on this. High opacity, low moisture. Ride that rail. Looking for the horizon. Try to orient the model so you can run that trace. Rotate. Look for the angle. Hold your breath. Swing it from right to left. So now we got some nice little lines starting to show up. God, how many times is that dog gonna bark? I feel like this door's open 1,000 times. All right, so let's just make it a little bit more noticeable from the top angle right here. Rotate. Now let's cut in on these little control boxes. So now I just got some basic highlighting going on in there. Now we can do a quick heart pull right here. Right? Right here. Right here. Tracer. Tracer. We'll tone it down anywhere we don't like it. Clee. Painting supplies. Exclamation point monument. That's my #1 shit right now. And for washes, I use Army Painter washes. You're going to get really good brushes for a good deal from Monument, and you're going to get the best paints, in my opinion. All right, now let's kind of split the difference. Well, let's run that highlight that we made. Lower the opacity a little bit. See if we can just kind of blur the seam a little bit. I'll just introduce a little bit more moisture and then respect. Little heart pulls. Let that set up for a second. Let's go back to black. Lower the opacity just a little bit on the black. Let's pull our little horizon line under the highlight right here. A little stippling right here. Just to kind of keep on brand with our presentation style on this model. Semi-opaque and a little bit wet. Let's just get a more noticeable black in here now. And a lot of this, what we're doing in there, is kind of not prime real estate because, you know, it's got to kind of look past his arm to even see what's going on in there. So you don't have to go. I'm not going to paint like all this shit underneath it because you're just not going to see it unless you take his arm off. JBZ, thank you. But what I will do is get a little green. With 32 minutes left in our top D giveaway, guys. Exclamation point fists. Let's just pop some green out right here. Semi-opaque and just a little wet. And we're going to keep it wet on purpose. I'm going to steal white. Run it right into the workup. And I'm going to start stippling into that moisture. I'm going to move back to more green. Stipple in. I'm going to rinse the brush. I'll go raw dog green. What I'm doing is just kind of fighting it back and forth. And blurring the center line. Kind of just like that. And I'll let that set up for a second before we go any further on it. Let it dry because I added a lot of water to it. Little buttons right here. While that's setting up, he's got leather over here that I completely forgot about. So let's see if we can get kind of some of that wacky leather highlight again. Higher opacity. We're using a combination of heart pull and tracer technique right there. And I'm just using the yellow, some of the brown we'd already used. Doing my best to respect what I got there. But we're going to throw some texture down just real quick. I'm just going to run a couple of scratchies using the heart pull strategy. Let's grab some black. Let's do some top shadows on those scratches. Real basic. Just a little side quest. Let's run back to the view screen, see what we got. Okay. Let's go with a little black and green mixed together. Some water. So just kind of cutting in a nice gleaming effect right there. So it's like low opacity, kind of wet. We're adding more black to the mix right here. We're going to take some pure white. We're going to be using high opacity, low moisture. And the heart pull strategy where I use the tip of my brush. We always try to rotate into the position where we can kind of just pull straight back. And if we fight it, just stop, reload. Because the tip of the brush will dry really fast, so sometimes you'll find it not doing anything and you'll start kind of scrubbing it. And then you'll fuck it up. Put a little bit right there. Now we got a little view, little glass view screen situation. Let's put some random highlights on top of these guys right here. There we go. Feel a little better about that. Let's put the arm back on. So now you see we're rewarded. Because now we have a viewing angle where we can see his dash screen. See? Very cool. So we've got all sorts of effects we're popping off of this guy, right? We've got all sorts of low-grade non-metal metallic, some high-grade non-metal metallic. We got some sweet texture on the leather. We have now done a little window screen. We did make his eyes glow, as you can see here. So we got those burning embers. And I'm not even really done with the chevrons yet. Reappraise. He says thanks. They look sharp. Or he says they look sharp, and I say thanks. Thank you. I think they got to get whiter still. And I feel like there's more edge highlighting I can still do on this guy. Like I feel like I didn't do shit back here. Like I was super lazy back there. But what we need to take a look at too is these tires. So let's go with a little green, a little blue. Let's go with a classic. Let's see if we can just kind of pick up some black, green, blue. And let's just paint these guys off of the exact same black spectrum everything else is in. Paying homage to Secret Weapon Miniatures. Entire black. Utilizing Monument Hobbies Pro Krill formula. So basically, tire black is just like rubber black. And there's like a greenish blue tint to it. Right? So it looks black. But it looks like a different black than the other black. That's mainly why I'm doing it. Jack of Clubs painting, 57 months. How insane is that? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We're using high-ass fucking volumes of paint right now. Tons of fucking opacity. Just enough moisture for spread. And it's easy to paint it right over already black tires, you know? Wyatt, sup? Sup? Miss you, homie. Just fucking painting on some black Templar. Just added green and blue to black and painted these tires. Wash my brush because I put so much paint in it. Next month, we rage, he says. Oh, yeah. Gotta figure out how I'm getting out there. Is Demeki going to LVO? Or is this baby being born? Like, do I have a ride? It's been a long time since I had to drive myself to LVO. Is Zach going? I bet I could sweet talk Zach into taking me. Jack Club's painting. He's like, do I need to fly to LA for the bro trip? I mean, if you want, but like, it's still my truck. My truck has expired tags, tires that are 8 years old, in need of an oil change. I mean, we're talking $1,000 just for my truck to... Should at least, before my truck should be driving to LVO. Should be driving to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, that's the main issue. It's like... Like, it just... I've, like, turned it on. Like, I mean, like, I turned it on, like, once a week for, like, a year. Like, it didn't even leave my driveway. I mean, I could just rent a car. That's probably cheaper than $1,000. So, look at how awesome that the tires look, guys. And they're black spectrum that have notes of green and blue in it. Yeah, that makes sense. We might have to do that. Might make sense. Because I'm like half tempted to just buy one of those like $70 plane tickets. You know what I mean? Like, real cheap. So now we have 19 minutes left. Exclamation point beanie, exclamation point fists. 2 shows left this year. One in 19 minutes. JBZ planes, trains, and automobiles. That's right, baby. I could take a train. Marty Mar, 51 months. What's up, brother? So I really just want to dry brush these tires, so I'm waiting for my fucking heinous application of paint to dry. Kind of where I'm at. I just want to take like this gray, this right here, add some white to it basically. Something like this. Corvidai says, you can get a lift from a trucker. The hobo handy is in your arsenal. You would know. I'm probably jumping the gun here, but just sending a little bit in. Because they're prime dry brush real estate. It's just also probably going to put a little weathering on them. John Patrick says, what are the odds we convince Monument Hobbies to come up with their own version of Tire Black? I mean, he's just, I mean, like, he gives us all the tools to do it ourselves. That's kind of always been his thing. Right now I'm just drying it up. Just going against the grain. Put in a subtle highlight right there on the tire. Nothing too crazy. Just tightening it up. Now, if you wanted to get crazy, you could manually slice in on these bottom seams like this. With that same mix. Now, you don't have to. It's kind of crazy to do it. Give yourself a little bit more contrast. People tend to kind of just zone out when they do the tires. Maybe throw some weathering on them. Pigment powder. Some various weathering techniques. But there's actually lots of, shapes and seams and ledges on them. And we could just kind of pull them out, you see? Make them a little bit more interesting. And we're just using the tip of our brush, a little heart pull strategy. Using that same mix we've made already to dry brush with.
And his name is John C.
Kalski. Now let me get some strong man love in the chat for Kalski coming in on our final four for those beanies. Still, Helldiver is number one for the Fist Speeder. Kalski, thank you so much. This countdown to the new painting adventures. Hell yeah, dude. We get some hype in chat from my boy Kelski. Oh, pretty cool. So glad we did a Black Templar because there's literally no way to really talk about how Chocolate Black works unless we actually have a Black Templar. Torch says it's clean, and I do appreciate that. 1+6 says, are you going to do some Raven Guard after this? I really like to say how you do the black part of their armor. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. We did black with green and blue, black with white and blue, black with brown and white on all the metal. We just did black at that, like, just, it's always the same though. Just respect it. Now, he does have the sidecar. Okay, and as interesting as all this is, we have to get, for the final show of the year, I have to get the sidecar cut out of here. And is it either side? Am I allowed to put it on this side? And he rolls deep. So it's the Primaris attack bike conversion kit. So this Outrider is just one part of the video. We're gonna redo it. We're gonna do this whole 3D printed part of the kit. Nine and a half minutes left. And I think we've done about as much work as we can do on this Black Templar before we get to the sidecar. So let me take an opportunity to grab the speeder with 9 minutes left in the show.